So this is my project, which is the culture shock of Italy. This is, overall, it's on one page, which is in entire directions. It's 4 topics, which is the first one is a tour plan, second one is foods that are special, and then some sports and their competitions and government and economy. So for the first one, I wrote a tour plan, which is here. So I have a tour plan for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and a bunch of hotels, travels, and other prices that I may have to spend. Here, I visit 3 places on my tour plan. The first place is Trevi Fountain. There has some very interesting history here, and many popes have used it and designed it. Although the progress has not been smooth. The progress was bumpy at first, and then in the end it was completed because some popes thought it was not as special as it could be. Second is the Roman Colosseum, and it's very famous and has been used by popes for many reasons. But the first reason was that it was a big theater, but after that many popes had used it for a fortress, a prison, and a base, military base, and lots of other stuff. But then sadly it was wrecked, so over the past few years after that it was basically ignored until now. We find that it's a very interesting thing. So last place is Castel di Sant'Angelo, which is really hard to pronounce. It's a very cylindrical building. It's in Paro Adriano, Rome, Italy. It was initially started for a museum for the popes and his family, but then it was used by a fortress and a castle, and it was once the tallest building in Rome. This is also a fort, like this one, but it was used mostly as a many uses. So the uses were that it was a prison, it was also a fort, and it was basically a hideout. So next I have the foods that are special to Italy. There's a summary here, which is espresso, gelato, pizza, and pasta, which is these 2 many people know, right? But these 2 many people are not that familiar with, even though they're also very famous. So pizza, everyone knows this. So it has been around for a long time, and pizza has been around since the Neolithic age, and many people think that pizza evolved from flatbread dishes in the 18th or 19th century, and the queen that Raphael Esposito created a pizza for, the Queen Margherita, strongly liked the pizza in the colors of the Italian flag, which is red, green, and white. There's also pasta, which is also very famous, and it has a history that Marco Polo once imported it from China, and this is a story which originated in the Macaroni Journal. It's a very funny name. Food historians think that the dish, this pasta, probably took hold in Italy as a result of trading in the Mediterranean Middle Ages. Pizza has a lot of styles, like different pasta, different sauces, different dishes. Pasta has also become a symbol of Italian culture, which is something many of them are proud of because it's the most popular main course dish in the world. This early pasta was an ideal staple for many countries, including Sicily, and it easily spread to the mainland in Italy because the durum wheat is a really good growing in Italy's climate. So next are these 2, espresso and gelato. People don't really know this, but espresso is really, really bitter. I don't really know how people like it, but it's really, really good. Also, gelato is like an ice cream, but it's not exactly ice cream. Basically, it's made differently. So Friar Gelati and Stracciatella are 2 different gelatos, and the first one, Friar Gelati, is a no flavor, no eggs, but it's very healthy, and Stracciatella is a Friar gelato with chocolate chunks, which is also good. The traditional flavors include cream, vanilla, chocolate, hazelnut, almond, and pistachio. The modern flavors include strawberry, raspberry, apple, lemon, pineapple, and black raspberry. In 1945, a man named Carpingini began selling this equipment to make gelato and created Moto Gelatura, the first automated gelato machine. Alright, so after we have the foods, there are some sports from Italy and their former competitions. This is basically a really big summary, but because there's only 2 slides, I don't have that much space. Where this one is the football insignia, which is football is the best sport in Italy because many of Italy's sports is football. They're really good at football. And see, this is a very good football player named Gigi Rava. And they have hosted the Olympic Games on 4 occasions, which is here. And they will host the 2026 Winter Olympics. They also play different sports like football, water sports, gymnastics, skiing, cycling, etc. with many sports. As you can tell, the first one has many participants. The first one has 363,000 participants. And basically top 10 sports has a very famous sports in Italy. They're also very good at it. So lastly, the government and economy. So the government has 3 parts, which is the head of state, the executive branch, and the legislative branch. The Italian government is like the US, but it is in the form of a democratic republic, and it was established in 1940 in the Constitution. The Italian head of state, like a president, has many of the duties which were previously given to the King of Italy. The 2 branches of the king, the head of state, which is the executive and the legislative. The executive branch prime minister was Giorgia Meloni, this one, and the government has a constitution which establishes it as the council of the prime minister and its ministers. The president of Italy appoints the prime minister and the ministers for the form its cabinet. It also appoints the appointee is usually the leader of the majority that won the election, and it can also be a new leader or a person told by the president in the times of crisis, such as in the Lion's Shift. Lastly, in the government, we have the legislative branch, which has 2 people, the Chamber of Deputies and the President of the Senate. The Constitution guarantees the right to vote, so the people exercise their power through the voting president in the parliament. The parliament has a bicameral system and consists of 2 parts, headed by Lorenzo Fontana and Ezio La Ressa, and there are 400 deputies, 8 of which are selected in the overseas constitutiones. All voters who are 25 older on the election day they're eligible to be deputies, and the Senate is also elected by direct voters who are also 25 and older. Some senators are senators for life, like the former president, and up to 5 citizens appointed by the president for having brought honor to the nation with their achievements. All voters on the age of 40 plus on the voting day are also eligible to be senators. Lastly, we have the Italian economy, and Milan is a very economic capital of Italy. It has a very big global financial center and is the economic capital of the world, fashion capital of the world, and it makes a lot of things like machinery, vehicles, pharmaceuticals, furniture, food, and clothing. And as you can tell, it's gone up with the rest of the countries, but recently they've suffered a drop because of the Great Depression. And it's a chart. Basically, PPP, GDP per capita PPP, is a fancy title for how much money they have earned, like the gross money they have earned, and it's been steadily growing, but then it dropped. So Italy is a very large, the world's 7th largest manufacturing country, but it has a smaller number of global multinational corporations and other economies that are the same size and dynamic and medium-sized enterprises. They are usually clustered in small districts, and they are the strong backbone of the Italian industry. Italy makes a lot of things, and it also exports a lot of things, similar to China, because it makes a lot of objects and sells them, rather than just receiving them. And you can tell also over here that the European Union, it conducts 59% of its total trade with the European Union, which is why it joined for trade. And in 2021, they exported 611 billion. That is also the 10th largest in the world by nominal GDP and 12th largest by regular GDP. So, lastly, you will find that the Works Cited page, which I have listed all my resources, and that's it.